Right now, on to the point. Mourning the death of Pope Francis. His final address on Easter Sunday.
Buona Pasqua.
A pope of first and a voice for the voiceless.
I would ask each of you, whatever your capacity, to care one another.
As millions around the world reflect on his life and legacy.
He taught us that who we are is more important than what we can do.
Tonight, his final wishes and the next steps for the church. Thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell, and tonight the world is remembering Pope Francis. The Vatican says that he died this morning of a cerebral stroke that caused his heart to stop. He was 88 years old. Now, this is a live look at the Vatican tonight. Mourners have been visiting for hours, lighting candles, bringing flowers, and offering prayers according to his will. The Pope is requesting burial in the Basilica of St. Mary Major, saying, quote, "The tomb must be in the earth, simple, without particular decoration, and with the only inscription, Franciscus." Just one day ago, the Pope greeted thousands for Easter Sunday, blessing the crowd and calling for peace around the world. He also met with Vice President J.D. Vance, who said today in a statement he was happy to see him. Now, the Pope has been at the helm of the Catholic Church for the last 12 years. Originally from Argentina, he was the first pope born or raised outside of Europe in over 1,000 years, and he leaves behind a lasting legacy, often called the People's Pope, due to his humility, down-to-earth access, and refocusing on a more inclusive church. Melissa Don has more on his impact tonight.
The faithful around the world honoring the legacy of Pope Francis, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, the first pope from Latin America and the first Jesuit. During his 12 years as pontiff, Francis was regarded as the Pope of the poor, the marginalized, and underprivileged. Instead of washing the feet of fellow priests on Holy Thursday, he chose prisoners, refugees, and the homeless.
I think his biggest achievements were focusing the church on the poor. I really think he'd be remembered as kind of the Pope of Mercy.
He was the first pope who refused to wear certain traditional papal vestments, instead choosing simple white robes and black loafers. He was the first pope to not live in the lavish papal apartment, but a modest apartment, regularly stepping out to shake hands and share a tender embrace. And his opinions set him apart as well, calling for a larger role for women in the church. At the same time, he reaffirmed church opposition to women priests.
Sono scomunicati.
He eased the hard stance the church previously held on the LGBTQ community, allowing for priests to bless same-sex couples.
He's also what I'm going to call a reformer pope, because he made a lot of changes to the way the Vatican is run, the way the church is run. And I think we would also say he is the Pope of the people.
Pope Francis calling for church leaders in the U.S. to support migrants, the poor, and unborn.
Ask each of you, whatever your capacity, to care one another. Be close to one another. Respect one another. I bless each one of you from my heart.
Pope Francis increasing the global diversity of the College of Cardinals, electing more cardinals than ever before from Latin America, Asian Pacific, and African countries. Critical moves that will shape the future of the papacy, as the decision on who to elect the next pope will soon be in their hands. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Reaction of the Pope's passing continues to come in from around the world. President Trump today offering condolences at the White House Easter egg roll, saying he was a good man, worked hard, and loved the world. Trump says he and First Lady Melania will attend his funeral in Rome. Former President Joe Biden and Barack Obama also paying tribute to the Pope on social media today. Biden called Pope Francis one of the most consequential leaders of our time, and Obama complimented him as a rare leader who made us want to be better people. Governor Newsom also reacting to the news today, saying in a social media post, in part, quote, Pope Francis saw good in all his creatures, reminding us of humanity's obligations towards each other and the world we live in. Now, Now, the Pope's death has left millions of people in mourning, including those in the Stockton community. Some worshipers said they attended a regularly scheduled mass at noon today just to pray for the Pope. Others spent the morning recalling their memories of meeting the Pope, saying they will remember Pope Francis by what he stood for.
We're in a time of transition in which Pope Francis was working hard to meet the needs of the world and to draw attention to those who are marginalized, those who are not included in the circle.
And so I got an opportunity to be in close quarters with Pope Francis and to be able to listen to his wisdom and his teaching, shake his hand up close and personal with him. And it was amazing. I was so honored and deeply moved because he is someone that deeply cares about mankind.
A special rosary and mass will be held at the Cathedral of the Annunciation in Stockton tonight. It starts at 7 p.m. Bishop Jaime Soto from the Diocese of Sacramento released a statement saying in part, quote, "Let us commend the Holy Father, Pope Francis, to the merciful embrace of Jesus, the Good Shepherd. His Holiness served as the Lord's vicar on earth. May he now enjoy contemplating his beloved Savior in heaven." Now, many are wondering when and who gets to choose the next head of the Catholic Church. The process for selecting a successor typically begins about 15 to 20 days after a pope's death. The acting head of the Vatican will run meetings and oversee preparations for the election. Cardinals from all over the world will gather in the Sistine Chapel and vote by secret ballot. The pope's successor must receive 2/3 of the vote to be elected. Although any man who is baptized or ordained as a priest and a bishop can be elected pope, it is usually someone within the College of Cardinals. To honor Pope Francis tomorrow night, ABC will air Francis, the People's Pope. The ABC News special is scheduled from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. right here on ABC 10. Coming up onto the point, justice wanted for a retired CHP officer.
Prominent businessman Phil Oates is at the center of a new lawsuit filed by this law firm blaming him for the death of a retired CHP officer. Here are the details of the case and why criminal charges were not filed.
Plus, a major change for millions of student loan borrowers. Collections are coming back while your wages or tax refund could be at risk.
And it was a warm day today with highs in the mid-80s. Tomorrow we're still in the 80s, but we drop below average by the end of the week. And we'll talk about that after the break.
It was a beautiful day outside as we're looking over downtown Sacramento right now. Let's get over to meteorologist Brendan Mincheff with a look at our forecast.
It was a nice day, but it was admittedly a very warm day as well. We were well into the 80s for much of the valley, 85 in Marysville, 86, Orville, 86 downtown Sacramento today, 86 in Stockton, 84 in Modesto, 85 Vacaville, 84 in Fairfield. The average high is 75. So again, way above average. And in fact, it was the third warmest day that we've had so far this year at 86. Only March 25th and April 14th were warmer. Temperatures right now still in the 80s for much of the valley. 83 Sacramento, about 84 Marysville, 84 up in Colusa, 83 Vacaville, 80 in Fairfield, 83 Stockton, 82 in Modesto, 75 Jackson, 75 in Auburn, 60 in South Lake Tahoe, 63 in Truckee. Clear skies through the evening, be about 80 at the top of the hour, closer to 70 degrees by 9 o'clock and in those mid 60s by 11 p.m. tonight. A little bit of a breeze today. Not a whole lot going on through the Delta today though. Tuesday morning as we wake up, it'll be clear, it'll be cool. 51 Sacramento, 55 Stockton, 54 in Modesto. Tomorrow afternoon, it'll be another warm and sunny day, slightly cooler, mainly in the low 80s for the valley. We'll also have a nice Delta breeze shaping up through the evening as well. And you'll see that here, a little bit of a breeze today, not much, a little bit of a northerly breeze overnight should keep any fog from forming. And then you see tomorrow afternoon, in comes that Delta breeze. High pressure is dominating right now, but the system coming through is going to bring us cooler temperatures and a chance for some showers in the high country by the end of the week, especially as we get into Friday and Saturday. Here in the valley, though, if we see a chance of rain, it'll be late Friday. Not expecting much, if anything at all, but temperatures much cooler in the upper 60s.
All right, Brendan, thank you. Next, on to the point, a notable Sacramento businessman named in a wrongful death lawsuit. Tonight, what happened and why charges were not filed. Plus, a push to fight sex trafficking, how a new bill aims to support survivors while going after buyers. Phil Oates is a notable businessman in the Sacramento region, and tonight he's being named in a wrongful death lawsuit after a retired CHP officer died in the crash the CHP says was caused by Oates. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen shares with us what happened and how Phil Oates is responding to the claims.
On a busy stretch of road along Douglas Boulevard at Kingsgate Drive in Granite Bay, tragedy struck in May 2024. Patrick Molderig, a retired CHP officer, was riding his motorcycle when he was hit by a car.
He had a couple of motorcycles. He was a very experienced and skilled motorcyclist.
According to a CHP crash report, Molderig was approaching Kingsgate Drive when he was hit. The driver was Phil Oates, a successful businessman and part owner of the Sacramento Kings. The CHP says he was turning left onto Kingsgate Drive.
It's pretty clear that he's committed an act that you're not supposed to on the roadway, which is make an unsafe left turn in front of an oncoming vehicle.
The police report says Oates saw Molderig approaching but believed he could clear the turn. The CHP referred this case to the Placer County District Attorney's Office for review for a charge of manslaughter. But a spokesperson for the DA's office says it declined to file criminal charges. They say the investigation produced insufficient evidence that the death was because of a criminal act. Now, Molderig's widow is filing a wrongful death lawsuit. Miranda Flores would not do an interview with us, but did provide us with a statement through her attorney's office that says in part, the Placer County District Attorney's decision to not charge Phil Oates, quote, simply makes no sense, and she will seek justice for her husband to honor his memory.
I was shocked. I think if Mr. Oates' last name was actually Mr. Smith, I think the likelihood is that person would have been cited and prosecuted.
With no criminal charges pending, Flores filed a wrongful death civil lawsuit against Oates, hoping to make up for what the DA's office didn't do.
I think the question is why? Why didn't you just wait? You saw him.
The CHP Auburn says since January 2023 through now, officers have documented 20 crash reports around the area of Douglas and Sierra College Boulevards. As for the crash that cost retired officer Molderig's life, Phil Oates would not do an interview with ABC 10, but his attorney says Mr. Oates is deeply saddened by the passing of the other driver in the accident. He trusts that the court system will reach a just result. In Sacramento, Jeannie Nguyen, ABC 10.
The CHP report on the crash noted that Phil Oates was not under the influence of alcohol or drugs during the crash. An update tonight in the effort by Scott Peterson and his attorneys to have his murder conviction overturned. The Los Angeles Innocence Project filed evidence it says shows Peterson did not murder his wife and unborn son in 2022. They claim Peterson was denied his rights to due process and a fair trial because jurors did not hear evidence over 2 decades ago that they argue could have affected the outcome of the trial. They also argue police and prosecutors did not fairly investigate the case and destroyed evidence. Tonight, a new coalition is pushing for a change in the law which targets the buyers of sex trafficking victims and supports survivors. Assemblywoman Maggie Krell unveiled the new anti-sex trafficking coalition today in support of Assembly Bill 379. ABC 10's Roxanne Elias explains.
At the Capitol on Monday, Assemblywoman Maggie Krill, along with other leaders, took a strong stance against sex trafficking after giving examples of what victims go through.
She said, nah, nothing happens for raping girls like me.
Krill announced the formation of a coalition which will include survivor support organizations, law enforcement, and statewide elected leaders. And they're now urging members of the Assembly Public Safety Committee to support Assembly Bill 379.
I want to solve 2 problems with this bill. 1, we have to create more resources for victims like Julie and the thousands of other victims who are being trafficked.
Krill says the bill creates a law allowing law enforcement to intervene when men are out trying to buy victims for sex. It also makes it a felony when those victims are under 18 years old. And for the first time, it sets up the Survivor Support Fund, funded by fines paid by offenders. It'll go straight towards community-based organizations that will provide trauma-informed care, outreach, and recovery support.
Instead of putting people in jail, AB 379 offers diversion programs for first and second-time offenses, connecting individuals to support services and a path towards healing.
At the same time, the bill takes a firm stance on accountability, creating a new misdemeanor for loitering with the intent to buy sex. The Sacramento County Sheriff and Sacramento Police Chief are both supporters.
As it stands now, with the laws the way they're written, we can't even put their face in the newspaper to try and shame them, to make them aware, hey, if you engage in acts like this, your friends, your neighbors will know.
We will not make progress on trafficking or these issues if we don't hold those who fuel it accountable.
Backers say the bill sends a powerful message, and it's not just a step forward, but a stand for justice.
And will create appropriate consequences that will reduce the demand.
In Sacramento, Roxanne Elias, ABC 10.
New tonight, conservative commentator and former Fox News host Steve Hilton has announced that he is running for California governor. In a post on social media, he wrote, "California means to America what America means to the world. It's time to end Democrat one-party rule and restore the California dream." All right, let's get into your price points tonight. The Education Department says it will begin collecting student loans that are in default next month. So here are the details. This marks an end to a period of leniency that began during the COVID-19 pandemic. The department says beginning on May 5th, they will begin involuntary collection through the Treasury Department's offset program, which includes tax refunds, federal salaries, and other benefits. After a 30-day notice, the department also will begin garnishing wages for borrowers in default. Currently, about 5.3 million borrowers are in default. A new warning tonight. Criminals have a new high-tech way to steal your vehicle, copying your key fob. It only takes a few minutes. Allison Cossack explains.
More police across the country are warning about a tool that lets thieves steal your cars in seconds without ever touching a key.
I watched somebody drive off with my car.
It's called a ProPad, a tool used by locksmiths, now being abused to clone key fobs and program new ones. Christina Rinaldi tells our Detroit station WXYZ she watched her own car being stolen from her driveway in the middle of the night.
I see a young male, smaller build, all in black, run from that Charger to my truck.
She says a Dodge Charger pulled up outside and a suspect ran straight to her SUV.
I'm like, hey, and I hear a male voice in the Charger like, let's go, let's go.
The thieves took off. Her vehicle was eventually recovered after a police chase, but was totaled. From Michigan to Georgia, New York to Texas, police are tracking thieves who've used ProPad-like devices. This locksmith in San Antonio showed our San Antonio station KSAT that a key fob copy can be made in just minutes.
Select the make, year, and model of the vehicle.
He says cars made in 2020 and older are more vulnerable.
Whether you're at the gym or your own home or just running into the store, take everything out of your car, lock it up, put it in the garage, whatever you got to do.
Next, on To the Point, reimagining Highway 160, how city leaders propose connecting the area to the rest of the city.
Wednesday on To the Point. California's HighSpeed Rail project.
The structures are being built, construction is ongoing, and impacts are being made.
A vision decades in the making. Unlikely to finish on time and facing a budget shortfall.
What is your response to the criticism that the Inspector General has found on the HighSpeed Rail project?
With federal funding threatened.
California's federal transportation dollars should go where it's really needed.
What does progress look like? Don't miss this special report on California's HighSpeed Rail project Wednesday on To the Point at 6:30, only on ABC 10 and the ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app.
Sacramento City Council is set to consider a $1.2 million project aimed at reconnecting old North Sacramento to the rest of the city. When the highway was built 70 years ago, it connected downtown Sacramento to Business 80, but bypassed the historic Del Paso Boulevard and its businesses. Now the city wants to look at changing that.
If we can imagine that Highway 160 is no longer a freeway but is more of a boulevard that opens up frontage property that would allow us to have residential and business development that could be sited along Highway 160, it would dramatically improve the access for people here in North Sacramento to the American River Parkway.
City Council will vote on whether to move forward with the project tomorrow. Of course, we will always keep you updated. As always, thank you so much for watching and for inviting us into your home each and every night. If you have something you think me and the team should be looking into, you already know what to do. Email us at tothepoint@abc10.com. Have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow.